Hi everyone, in today's lesson we're going to talk about equations of lines. This is going to be a review of things that you should have learned from Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. So let's first start with slope. Slope is defined as the change in y over the change in x of 2 points on a line. So if I'm giving you a line with 2 points already on it and I ask you to find the slope, we just need to find the rise and divide it by the run. So we want to see how much I have here for the vertical distance from this point to the top of this point. So this part right here is my rise, how much I'm going up and down. And then my run is how much it takes me to go from this point to this point. So from here to here is my run. So now all we have to do is just count. So first, let's just write the definition. So slope can be denoted with the letter M for slope, and it's defined as change in y over change in x, or in other words, rise over run. So let's count. My rise, if I count spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So my rise is 4. And if I count my run, we're counting spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So my run is 6, and if I reduce this fraction, you can divide the top by 2, and you get 2. And you can divide the bottom by 2, and you get 3. So my slope of this line is 2/3. Okay, let's look at another example. So average rate of change is the same thing as saying slope, but more specifically, in this case, it's the slope of the secant line between the 2 points on a curve. So a secant line is just a line that hits 2 places on a curve. So if I ask you to find the average rate of change between this point and this point, I'm still asking you to find the slope between these 2 points. So I want to find the rise over the run. So if this is my first point and this is my second point, how do I go from one point to the other? How many am I rising? And then how many am I running? So take a minute, try that one on your own, and then hit resume when you're ready for the answer. Okay, so my slope is my rise over my run. So if I counted my rise correctly, we've got 1, 2, 3. And my run, we have 1, 2, 3 as well. So my rise over my run, when I divide them, you should have gotten 1. Okay, so the next part I'd like to review is the equation of a line. This equation of the line y equals mx plus b is called the slope-intercept form of a line. And it's used when you're given a slope and a y-intercept. So let's just review the pieces. M is your slope. B is your y value of the y-intercept. And if you put x and y together and make a point, x and y is any point on the line. And this over here, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1, is the point slope form of a line, and we use it when we're given a slope and a point on the line, or if we're given 2 points. So same thing here, the m is still the slope, and the x1, y1, if you put those together, x1 comma y1, that is any point on the line. And this xy is kind of an additional xy, so these two we leave alone. Okay. And then the last thing I want to talk about on this page is parallel lines and perpendicular lines. This is something that you should have remembered from algebra or even geometry. Parallel lines will always have the same slopes. So if we give you an example, let's just say I give you y equals 3x plus 1, And let's say I give you another line over here and I call it y equals 3x minus 2. We know that the slope is 3 because it's the number in front of the x. Here we know the slope is 3 because it's the number in front of the x. So if we graph them, I'll show you that they never intersect. So this is a good review on graphing lines. We start at the y-intercept. So the y-intercept here is 1. So we're going to start by graphing at y equals 1, and we're going to go up 3 over 1. And then we're going to have to go in the other direction now. So we're going to go down 3, left 1, down 3, left 1. And we connect, and that is our red line. Now, if we're focusing on this blue line, we're going to start at our y-intercept of -2, which is here. And we're going to do the same thing, up 3 over 1. Up 3 over 1. Same thing now, down 3 over 1. And what you'll notice is these two lines are parallel. They never intersect because they have the same slopes. So you can go ahead and write that. Parallel lines will have the same slopes, or you could just underline there where it says same slopes. Now let's do perpendicular lines. So perpendicular lines have what we call negative reciprocal slopes. So negative reciprocal means we flip and negate the slope. So let's just say I have this line y equals 3x plus 1. If I flip and negate the slope, so if I flip 3, we get 1/3. And if I negate it, so negative 1/3 x. And then the y-intercept really doesn't matter, so I'll make it exactly the same as before. So now let's focus on this line first. We're going to start at the y-intercept of 1 and go up 3 over 1. So start up here at 1, go up 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. So same line as before. And now I want to graph this line right here. So we're going to start with the y-intercept of -2. So we're going to start down here. But now since my m, or my slope, is -1/3, instead of going up, I'm actually going to go down 3 and right 1. Excuse me, down 1 and right 3. So down 1, right 3, and now up 1, left 3. And that's really all I can draw on this small graph, but that is the idea behind this line. And you can see perpendicular lines form that 90-degree angle. So if you want to write down, you could write 90-degree angle. So perpendicular lines will have 90-degree angles, and parallel lines will never intersect, and they'll have the same slopes. Okay, let's move on to the next page. Okay, so how can I ask you questions without graphs? So I could say, write the equation of a line in both forms that has a slope of 1/2 and a y-intercept of 0, 1. So if we go with slope-intercept form, I'm actually going to write the two forms here. So slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b, and point slope is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So when I say both forms, these are the two forms I'm talking about. So let's do our slope-intercept. So remember, slope is our m, and our y-intercept is our b value. So in slope-intercept, it would be y equals 1/2 x plus 1. Okay, I'm going to use slope-intercept is going to be red. Okay, now if I want to do our point slope form, which I'll do here in blue, my point slope, we need a slope, which is an m, and a point. So we need a slope and we need a point. The slope is your m, and the point is your x1 comma y1. So here is the point on the line. The y-intercept is also a point on the line, so x1, y1. So when we plug this in, we're doing y minus y1, which is 1, equals m, which is my slope, which is 1/2, and then x minus, and then last but not least is our x1, which is 0. So x minus 0. You can leave that 0, or you can simplify it further if you'd like, but that's fine, and that's the final answer. Okay, next, write the equation of a line in both forms that passes through this point and has this slope. So right away, I'm thinking point slope form would be easier because it's giving you a point and a slope. So for my point, I will label this as x1, y1, and as my slope, I will label that as m. So I have y minus y1 equals m, which is negative 5/3, x minus x1, but x1 is a negative 9, so x minus a negative 9, that's a double negative, we can make this plus 9. So that's actually our answer. That is our point slope answer, and we can go into slope intercept from this equation. So let me just box this so we know that that is that final answer. And then how we're going to go into this slope intercept form is by distributing and adding the 8. So let's distribute and distribute. So I'm going to leave this as y minus 8 equals negative 5/3 x, right? Because negative 5/3 times x is negative 5/3 x. And then now this is where you want to grab your calculators and put negative 5/3 times 9. And I believe you should get negative 15. Pause the video and double check that. And then last but not least, we're going to add 8 on both sides. So then my final answer is y equals negative 5/3 x minus 7. And that is my slope intercept form. All right, I think that's enough for today. Please leave the rest of this worksheet blank and we'll go over it tomorrow in class. All right, have a good night.